So our next speaker, I'm thrilled to introduce Dr. Carrie Goucher, who will dive into meeting culture and collabureaucracy. I got it. Carrie is a leading authority on meeting culture and collaboration systems, helping organisations redesign how they meet and work together to unlock productivity, morale and strategic delivery. Carrie has helped the NHS, the UK government and global brands. She tackles the root causes of ineffective collaboration. So please welcome to the stage, Dr. Carrie Goucher.
Hello. What if I told you that pretty much everything you've ever been taught about meetings is wrong? So buckle up. It's going to be an emotional roller coaster. Grab a friend. And I'm going to try and blow your mind about meetings, the session you did not ask for about meetings. So first I want to know, what's wrong with meetings? So does anybody's week look like this? Hello. What's wrong with meetings? They're brilliant, aren't they? You can have a biscuit, you can chat to people. What could possibly go wrong?
Have a meeting to discuss the next meeting.
Yes. Or a pre-meeting is my favourite. Yeah. What else is wrong with meetings? Could have been an email. Yeah. No time to do the actual work that you're paid to do. What else? What happens in meetings? You're tired. You're just stealing all my slides from later. So, too long, too much talking. From one person. And it's never you, I know that. So, the thing is, we have completely normalised all of this. So you're all looking at this like, yeah. Totally back to back. And I mean, like, are you even a leader if you're not snaffling down a cereal bar at 10 to 2 before your next meeting and so on? You know, it's like part of the role, isn't it? You know, how's your week? Oh, back to back. And we wear it as a badge of honour. And yet, it is the single place, the single activity that we spend more time on than almost anything else at work. So to me, it is completely bonkers that we have no budget line item to tackle it. We have no one whose job description it's in. And we have a whole load of people in your pointy end of your graph, Andrew, who feel like, do you know what? I had to do them, so you'll have to do them as well. The very people who could make changes and who could prioritise how we collaborate, because it's not just meetings, is it? It's the tsunami of comms and notifications and email and Teams chats and all those things. The very people who have the authority and the budget to do something about it actually have a very different experience of meetings from you. They are given deference. They're treated like the highest paid person in the room, which they probably are. And they secretly feel like, do you know what? That's just part of growing up in the job and, you know, earning your pay. And millennials and Gen Z and Gen Alpha, they're not going to have it. So the rest of us, we've not had any lunch since 1998. But the people coming up, they're not going to have it. So why am I telling you all this? So you know about your own meetings, but I want to make the link for you to the work that you do every single day. Because it might not be in your job description so far, but I'd like you to think about putting it in. So there are 3 massive problems that my research has uncovered. So I don't think any of these are a huge surprise. But one, clearly, this diary gridlock is slowing down the real work. So that deep work that we need, like periods of uninterrupted time to focus and do things which we have really deep expertise and experience, that is getting squeezed out, fragmented evenings, weekends. And that is a problem because we are not hitting the milestones. Like, how can any company deliver its potential if its brilliant people are stuck in mediocre meetings? I'm not really talking about bad meetings here. I'm sure there are plenty of those. I'm talking about the mediocre meetings that you go to every single day of the week. So the research is also extremely clear that meetings create stress. So they emotionally exhaust people, which I think one of you called out earlier. and they are a source of burnout, another fast track to burnout, should you wish to hop on one. And the amount of emotional labour we do in meetings is linked to our intention to quit. So it seriously flattens our ability to feel happy and engaged and have an impact and a sense of meaning at work, which is massive. So 80% of situations that people take into coaching conversations happened in a meeting. And I'll bet that when you go home in the evening and you chat to your partner, your family, your friends, your dog about what happened at work, that some of the frustrating things that happened will have happened in a meeting. But here's the big one. You're leaving talent on the table. So organisations who are failing to do anything about this kind of great big white space, are leaving all that brilliant talent that you've spent a lot of money to hire and to keep and to train and to develop and engage. That capacity that you brought into the organisation is not able to be applied to your mission. Have I convinced you yet? Yeah. So let's just go back a step. Like, how hard can it be? We all know how to run a good meeting, right? How do you run a good meeting? An agenda. No attender, no agenda, no attender. What else? 25 minutes, very nice. Yeah, I have a power 25 minutes on my calendar that you can book. What else? Purpose, yeah.
Be clear on what you want to achieve.
Clear on what you want to achieve. So we know how to run meetings. So, like, why can't we do it? Why are we not better at running meetings? If it's this massive problem and we're in them all the time, we've had all this practice. If you're 40, you've probably been to about 10,000 meetings. Think on that. So why is it such a big problem? Well, come with me back 50 years, first of all. So, back we go. So you're back in the industrial era. So 50 years, 100 years, 150 years. Close your eyes. You're in your 60s. You are male. You have done this job for about 40 years, man and boy. And this is your world. So all these things on the left-hand side, you source most of your materials locally. You make stuff. You make widgets. And the way to make really good widgets and to make lots of money from widgets is to specialise and get really good at doing very complicated sequences perfectly. And the way to do that well is to have loads of hierarchy and lots of rules and get people to comply with it. Now, the world is completely different. Now we are in the knowledge age. All those ways of interacting at work, which we have inherited from the industrial era, are a very poor fit for the knowledge era. So now we trade in knowledge, we create value through knowledge, we collaborate with people from different disciplines, different countries, different languages, different ways of thinking and working, and now soft power is what is effective, and we don't get people to do things through hierarchy and command and control or micromanaging, but through trust, and I believe that's a self-responsibility. So total mismatch. And though so much has moved on, like leadership, we understand far more about leadership and team working, and I'm sure you've got some amazing development programs. But broadly speaking, you're probably still sending people to running effective meeting courses or just nothing at all. Like, it's not a thing. So we need to upgrade how we meet and more broadly how we collaborate, to use async better, to signpost better, and to create social contracts, which is one of the missing pieces. But we're not going to stop there. We're going to go even further back because this is a 50,000-year-old problem. What were we doing 50,000 years ago? We were in hunter-gatherer tribes where we spent 95% of our evolutionary past as humans. So our brains are wired to think about the tribe. So our entire source of safety and security and our access to mates and our ability to stay alive was dependent on staying in favour with the tribe, being useful, falling somewhere into the pecking order, and being somebody that was valuable and compliant with the tribe. And that is what our brains are wired for. And though today we're really unlikely to get eaten by a tiger outside, the Microsoft campus in Reading, and the issue is not dying of hypothermia, our brains are wired still to see security and threat in tribes. And in office age, the tribe is the organisation, it's the team, it's the meeting. And that's why tribal dynamics are playing out every hour, on the hour, 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock, 12 o'clock in meetings. And that's why nice, bright people go to meetings and do things like talk a lot, or interrupt people, or feel really offended when somebody steals their idea, or we don't speak up when we really should do, because we are following those tribal rules, and meetings are a place where we're gauging, am I safe? Am I okay with you? I want my idea to be the winning idea. I want you to think I'm valuable and clever and smart. And the same with all those things like, public speaking, we know that. But meetings are where tribal dynamics are playing out all the time. And so in office age, we still experience that danger of feeling separated from the tribe. And have you ever had an email land in your inbox which kind of looked like something had gone wrong and you were responsible? And that feeling, that physical, visceral feeling that what has happened, and it's not because of the consequence of the thing in the email, it's the idea that you've been caught out or something's gone wrong on your watch. So, final thing for now. Meetings, in addition to all of that, reflect dysfunctions in the rest of the organisation. So meetings are a brilliant barometer for the health of your organisation. So if you're having problems in meetings, the chances are that the root cause is in the system around them. So many things that here you'll be familiar with. Too many priorities, a strategy that's just not clear enough, a very unwieldy governance where everything has to be signed off or has to go to a committee, or how does that decision even get made? People don't quite know what their role is, or there isn't sufficient trust between teams. So all these things are playing out in your meeting. And is it any surprise that simply having an agenda and starting and finishing on time and taking some good notes is not enough to withstand the social pressures and the systemic pressures that meetings are under? We have to do more. All this, not enough. So what's the answer? Okay, get your notebooks out. So here's my answer. We fundamentally need more space in our calendars. We are going to way too many meetings. There is not a check and balance. So in theory, anyone can go into your diary in your organisation and they can find a little slot, or not, just find something that looks like it might not be as important as the thing you want to invite people to, put in the meeting in the diary, and you have to go. That's the social rule. And actually, if you can't get hold of somebody by email and you can't get them to answer a Teams chat, what do? Put a meeting in, because they have to go. So there's no check and balance, and there needs to be. We need to make better use of async and shift loads of these conversations, things that don't need a meeting, but should be handled in async, and we need to get way better at that. And we need to make space for deep work. Go for it.
Could you say a bit more about async?
Of course, yes, I just threw that word in, yeah. So does everybody know what I mean by async? So asynchronous collaboration, so things where we're not face-to-face and talking at the same time. Teams chat, email, document reviewing, that kind of thing. What's the nub of the question?
I just hadn't really heard of that.
Yeah, so our default way that we get things done with other people is in a meeting. But meetings are a fantastic place to handle complexity and to do what humans do really well together, which is make trade-offs together and discuss things that are blurry and unclear. But they are not a good place for sharing information. They're not a good place for doing work in general. So if you want somebody to review something, give it to them and give them a deadline and ask them to do it. And they're not even the best place to do updates. There are plenty of ways of doing an update between a group of people in a team outside of a meeting in a Teams chat. Does anybody do async updates here? Use Loom. Yes, perfect. So Loom is a fantastic example. I use it all the time, where rather than spend the first 45 minutes of a meeting just talking you through a few slides, you make a little 5-minute video in Loom, totally free, and talk over the slides, share it with people, they watch it before the meeting and come to the meeting, and you have 25 minutes to discuss it rather than an hour. And these are, for some organisations, these come quite naturally, and for other organisations, this is massive. So I'm going to point you to some resources if you want to look at more of this. But for now, that is a big part of the solution, is make space, take things into the asynchronous world and use meetings for what they're brilliant at and let people get back to their deep work. The second part is we need more structure. So we've talked about agendas, but agenda is often just like a list of items. What we really need are ways of scaffolding meetings. So it's not just a free-for-all. Like I say something, and then Jennifer says something, and then Darwin says something, and then I repeat Darwin's point because I just want to make my point a bit, make it a bit louder. You know, that's hugely inefficient. So we need smart ways to encourage the kind of dialogue we want, the kind of contributions we want. So a good example would be a round. So does anybody here open meetings with a round? So you might choose to spend the first 2 or 3 meetings of a meeting asking everybody to answer a question in order, very short. And the question doesn't have to be like, what would you be if you were an animal? No. It can be something like, give us your headline updates, like what have you just done, what's your next priority, and what do you want to get out of this meeting? Or a great round is, like, what is the specific thing you want to walk away from this meeting from? And what that round does is it means everyone contributes straight away. So no one speaks twice until everyone's spoken once. And it sets the tone that all voices are equal today and we're going to share airtime and we want contribution from everybody. So that's one super simple example, and I'm going to show you where to find loads of others. And again, really countercultural. It feels quite awkward, doesn't it? Or we're going to do a sort of exercise. But if we think about how much more we know about neurodiversity in the workplace and how different people like to contribute in different ways, there's a huge benefit in giving people different modalities and ways they can contribute. But the final thing we need is more candour. So what we end up is meetings where somebody says the crucial thing, like they name the elephant in the room, or they say what they really think at 10 to 12, and we need them to say it at 11:05. So we can fix it, so we can do something about it. Using meetings to kind of tiptoe around people and situations is such a poor use of our time. So we have to get better at candour. So that means developing trust. It means using structures that encourage people. So, for example, one of the structures I use a lot is a safety statement at the start of a meeting. So I would say something that indicates that I want people to disagree, and something that says, oh, we're going to disagree well by ... not interrupting people. And I've made a safe container. So if you've ever had a conversation with a coach, they will do that with you. They will kind of lay out a safe space, and you can do that in meetings as well. Okay, I'm going to take a breath. How are we doing? Is this interesting? A couple more minutes. Okay. Where next? So, if all this feels really overwhelming, then this is where to start. So I think if you care about employees' happiness and you want people to feel able to contribute and do their best work, this is all of our problems. So this is what I would call minimum viable meeting. So we need clear social contracting. An agenda is part of that, but a good email that goes to people beforehand in enough time that says, this is what we're trying to do, this is what we will do, this is what we won't do, this is how I want you to contribute, and these are the kind of behaviours, or this is the kind of style that's really going to help, and find your words to say that. And then you repeat all of that again at the beginning of the meeting, and now people know what they're in for. They know what game they've been invited to play. We've talked about some scaffolds, so using light structures to help share voice out, but also make it faster to contribute. So who here's used things like Miro boards or Mural? Yeah, not another Miro meeting, someone said to me the other day. So all of these things people can get quite tired of them, but the ability to all contribute by writing rather than spend 45 minutes discussing it. And then to give yourself as the meeting leader and give your meeting leaders this generous authority to make like tough decisions in meetings that protect the interests of the group. So that means not pandering to egos, not letting one person dominate, not going down a rabbit hole, and seeing that as your generous authority in service of the group and the task. And then finally, capturing and sharing the value. So having some really simple ways that you capture not just your own actions, but a set of decisions, actions, and a car park for what next. So I hope that's whetted your appetite, because we need a new playbook. So these are some of the things that you can include in meetings, and they don't need to feel like, like jazz hands, like, oh, we've gone to a training workshop. They can feel natural. They're just ways of describing simple things that help people contribute their best more quickly. Okay, so the question is, does it work? Like, is anybody making their meetings any better? So the short answer is yes. Most of the clients I work with would reduce their meeting load by about 25 or 30% pretty quickly. And what they will also find is they start to get quite good. They pick a handful of scaffolds and structures that work really well for them and their organisation and their style, and they get really good at them. And wherever you go in that organisation, whatever meeting you go to, you kind of know how to key into it because you've all had some practice. So I'm going to leave you with this. How organisations collaborate is the new competitive frontier. So tech can be copied. It can be copied by all those people going self-employed, using ChatGPT or using, some other AI tool to build it. Tech is copyable. Culture is difficult to copy. And how you collaborate, the ability to bring brilliant people together to do fantastic things and access markets, that is how you win. That is what makes you unstoppable. But you're not going to do it by starting a project and doing it all the way that the ways that organisations like to do stuff. You can't project culture and you can't project a habit shift. So that doesn't mean there's no planning, far from it. But what you're trying to start is a movement, a social change. And that's how people pick up these sorts of changes in habits. So I hope that's helpful. So 2 things for you. One is, I hope I've opened quite a few cans of worms for you. And if you want to talk to me about your organisation and your meetings, you're very welcome to do that.